The day Julian got engaged to his first love, I strolled into his office and slapped my resignation letter on the desk. Overnight I disappeared. Julian dialed my phone until his battery died, hired a private investigator, and was 2 seconds from filing a missing person report while I was 2,000 miles south, sketching bloom calendars for my new courtyard garden and ending every night with a golden at hibiscus. Life was ridiculously lush, until a guest's vacation post caught my blurry profile and the tiny and christened bloom went viral. That afternoon the sky cracked open, rain sheeted down and every camellia in my eternal spring yard hung its head. Before we keep going, smash subscribe and drop a comment telling us where you're listening from. While Julian and Grace toasted their engagement, I was home cross-legged on the rug, poking at my resignation email. Therefore sounds fake, delete. My groupie/minion Molly blew up my phone. Liana, Cameron's getting hitched and the bride is not you. Ellis for the heads up. They're saying you'll be booted next. Don't lose to that damsel act. I corrected her. First love, sweetheart, pure, perfect, blinding first love. Everyone knows Grace is the white rose Julian could never put down. Also, I've already been placed on administrative leave. But you were framed. I cut her off with a quick yeah. Julian didn't believe me. What's the point if the rest of the planet does? I went back to the keyboard. Molly's voice sharpened. You're seriously leaving? I nodded, remembered she couldn't see, and added a soft aha. She wailed, if you walk it'll look like guilt. You're tossing years of hustle for nothing. I studied my fingernails and shook my head. Molly didn't get it. This wasn't a tantrum, it was an evacuation. Ping, sent. My name is Liana. I grew up in Riverdale and figured out early I was different. I never minded. Lucky me, other kids got moms and dads. I got Auntie Mom, the woman who gave me my name. Liana, good karma. Their children were marched to piano lessons. I picked plants and taught myself by mud pie apprenticeship. Basically I upgraded a hobby to a talent, then a major, and crash-landed into agricultural college while repotting marigolds. Plan A, happy little gardener. Enter Plan B. Back then Julian wasn't yet Cameron, just a brooding sophomore. Blame me. Storm warning, lab windows open. I sprinted over and got trapped by the downpour. No umbrella, no roommates in sight. I prepared to sprint. He drifted by under a giant black canopy. Hey! Share the roof? I yelled. He flicked me a glance and kept walking. Just to the main path, rescue a stranger. Maybe the desperation sounded sincere. He pivoted. When he saw my face he stalled, startled. Moonlight making me a goddess? Doubtful, but I'd take dry. Quinn, I'll walk you. Sweet. I fished a baby begonia from my tote. Ellis, flowers for the hero. Pass. I'm allergic. Figures, we'd never vibe. Ever notice how once you meet someone you keep colliding? We slid from strangers to daily fixtures. I learned he studied management at the Ivory Penthouse next door and that his family owned half the port. I also learned I was the stand-in. Campus gossip said Grace and I could be twins. The first time his frat brother saw me he blurted, "You look just like Grace." Wait, can I say that? Who? Grace, Julian's childhood fiancée. She ditched him for Juilliard and he's still not over it. Realizing the overshare, he cringed. Forget I spoke. I waved it off. Good thing we were only buddies. Later we upgraded to constant brunch dates, late-night walks, and overlapping armrests. Everyone assumed we were a couple, half the time so did I. I never asked the body double question. Years of tending daisies had taught me pick while the sun shines. Life is short, collect the joy. At graduation he offered me a job as his assistant. Translation, he was inheriting an empire and wanted me along for the ride. Free gourmet meals and balcony space for seedlings? Deal. He became Cameron, I became Emery. Objectively, Julian treated me well, classic slow boil. After he drove to Riverdale to meet Auntie Mom and the kids, my heart did a slow swivel. He'd stop at the bubble tea stand and bring me the gross sweet flavors he hated. Under duress he'd sit in a grimy noodle shop, pass me napkins while I inhaled chili oil, and mutter about table manners. I called him tasteless, he called me unladylike. Fair trade. 2 weeks of overtime shifts earned my rant against corporate overlords. This time he played along, raise incoming. Still, murder crossed my mind. I voted for the rom-com. He countered with black and white existentialism. I sighed, romance? He said, you wouldn't get it. His ringtone was Chopin. I told him it sounded like a funeral. You wouldn't get it. For my birthday he wrapped up a Ballade Pour Adeline vinyl. I stormed in, waving the sleeve. Julian, you seriously gifting me homework? Exposure therapy, listen until you understand. My smile died the second I slit the paper. Adeline I didn't get, but holding his head under the drinking fountain sounded doable. Apparently the problem was always me, apparently he was always thinking of her. Fine, everyone's haunted by somebody. Dr. Chin sings about the unreachable forever shimmering. Auntie Mom preaches that hearts are earned, not wished for. Since he was technically my boyfriend, I doubled the kindness, maybe intensity would blur Grace out. He'd skip meals running Vance, so I packed tomorrow's bento, nutrient-dense if not Michelin star. If cocktails were on the calendar, I tagged along as drink shield or designated boot under the table. At worst I poured him a honey chaser and poured myself back into the night. Not to mention anything else, but after countless client dinners my tolerance had crept up and I was pulling drink shield duty more often than not. At first Julian would refuse, but later, maybe the room was too hot, the vibe too good, he forgot, and eventually he stopped objecting at all. If it hadn't been for the night my stomach burned, I'd have fancied myself some kind of alcohol prodigy. Side by side, man and woman, we were unbeatable, until the night we both drank too much. Our glances slid into tenderness, our hair tangled while we leaned close. Probably my brain crashed, because at the crucial moment I asked, Julian, who am I? Julian must have been truly hammered. He stared at me blankly, as if only then recognizing me, then shoved me away. Sorry, Liana. Take tomorrow off. Oops, my almost catch got away. Oops, my bottled up question still burst out. For the next several days we weren't alone together once. I waited for him to apologize and explain. No idea what he was waiting for. Clueless straight man. I could freeze him out, but work was still work. Business is business, that's my rule. We crashed through deadlines for days until everyone was dizzy. Then, miracle of miracles, Julian announced he had plans and there'd be no overtime shift. The coworkers with kids and dinners to keep stampeded for the exit. Me? I had no family waiting, so I might as well milk the corporate overlord for extra pay. They're all gone, why are you still here? A familiar voice asked. Julian's chatterbox buddy. Didn't expect you. He's out, said he had something, I answered, chewing chips while binge watching. Yeah, tonight's the welcome party we threw for Grace, I'm just grabbing his gift, the idiot blurted, brain-to-mouth filter completely absent. So Grace was back. So that's what Julian's something was. Why didn't he tell me? How could he not tell me? Grace was back, flaunting her pride and Julian's affection. She obviously knew I existed and obviously didn't care. The first time she came for him she gave me a syrupy smile. I heard abroad that Julian had hired an assistant who looks just like me. One look and I knew it was you. We could be twins. Too bad I'm an only child. Do you have brothers or sisters? All of them your spitting image? Oh right, I heard you studied plants. Next time our garden's a mess I'll beg your green thumb. I laughed. No problem. My rates are fair, I'll give you a discount. Miss Whitmore, I'll even gift you a pot of elegant, pristine white lotus. It suits you perfectly, just remind me. Fuming, Grace snapped, stop with the sarcasm. Knowing plants is useless, Julian's allergic. But he loves hearing me play, he attends every recital. Can you? I shook my head. I can't. But playing piano and growing flowers aren't high and low arts. The difference is you play to please Julian, while I garden to please myself. Spare me. You think I don't know you like him? But he likes me, you're just his assistant. I couldn't get a word in before her sneer cut me off. I've asked him repeatedly about us. He's never once called you his girlfriend. She strutted away, she had the capital to do it. I wasn't Julian's girlfriend? No wonder he'd never initiated, never refused. No wonder I waited for an explanation. He'd never acknowledged me in the first place. Ridiculous. In the end it was all mirage and dashed hopes, tears blurring the dream. I'd stopped being myself, that shouldn't have happened. I don't know what Grace told Julian, but that afternoon he actually sought me out. Don't spook Grace with random nonsense, she overthinks. A match made in jerk heaven. Work continued, yet Julian never approached me alone again, while Grace happily played peacock. She dumped the coffee I brewed, calling it cheap. Fine, one less chore, drink it or don't. Hearing I used to bring Julian homemade lunches, Grace whined that she wanted some too. Julian gave in and asked if I could pack an extra portion. I rolled my eyes so hard I saw sky. So I'm their flirting prop now? Sure. $100 a plate, firm price, minimum order too. Deal. How had I ever crushed on this rich idiot? That night I loaded the boxes with cilantro and fish mint herb, no idea if Grace minded, but Julian definitely hated both. Grace stole chunks of my assistant workload and Julian back, and now she wanted my little planter. Calling it little insulted it, since it had never held a plant. This time Grace pointed at the empty mini terracotta pot beside my laptop. Cute pot, Taylor. You're not using it, just give it to me. No way. Putting aside how sick I was of this damsel act, I'd thrown that pot myself, side by side with Julian. He'd shaped the rough body, I'd refined it. After the studio kiln, I'd spent 2 weekends layering the glaze. I refused, so of course Grace insisted, she had to have that exact one. Mid-bicker, Julian appeared. Julian, Taylor's terracotta pot is adorable, but she babies it so much she won't even let me look. Talk some sense into her, Grace cooed, eyes taunting me while she tugged his sleeve. Julian flushed slightly and eased his arm free, but he couldn't bear to shame her. Taylor, Grace rarely likes something so much, he began, then stalled, apparently even he couldn't utter, so handed over with a straight face. How about sending her the link so she can pick a style herself? Grace's face fell, mine curdled. The man was gifted, 1 sentence, 2 women offended. Blockhead, he missed that Grace's target wasn't the pot but me, and he'd forgotten we'd made the thing together. Emery versus Grace, insider versus outsider, clear as day. He didn't know, had never cared. Why was I wrestling with myself? Pointless. This one's chipped and filthy, hardly suitable for Miss Whitmore. I tossed it in the trash. The link? Long expired. If Grace wants one so badly, Cameron, hunt it down yourself. Another bitter, useless exit. Sparring without victory felt awful. People say plants are heartless and humans sentimental. Wrong. Flowers and succulents are far more lovable. After that, Grace actually stayed away for a while, and I enjoyed the peace. But the good days didn't last. The month-long overtime grind on our RFP bid went up in smoke. The others didn't know, but I did. This wasn't supposed to happen. We'd all been buddy-buddy, arms around shoulders, clinking glasses, and yet at the last second someone still managed to rob us blind. Liana, get in here. Even with Julian's mood soured these past few days, he'd never used that tone on me. A bad premonition slithered up my spine. Liana, I'm asking you straight, have you ever leaked our confidential bid floor to anyone? I jerked my head up, an icy chill in my chest. Julian, the man I'd walked shoulder to shoulder with, actually suspected I'd sell the company out. Taylor, I never thought you'd bite the hand that feeds you. Of course she was everywhere. I've never told a single person outside. Before I could finish, Grace cut in, voice syrupy and sharp, but I heard it was a profile pic of a little flower that let the cat out. Isn't that you? I inhaled slowly, reminding myself not to argue with idiots. Solving the problem came first. Heard from whom, Miss Whitmore? You sure love sticking your nose in other people's business. Julian's face darkened instantly. Enough, Liana. You have no right to speak to Grace like that. If Chairman Zhang weren't an old friend of her father, do you think he'd even look at our proposal? Right, so now he wanted to lecture me about qualifications. No qualifications? You throw Grace a welcome bash while I pull an overtime shift alone, and I have no qualifications. My fists clenched. So what, should I be grateful he let me take the fall? Answer me, do you believe me or not? Everyone else could doubt me, but not Julian. I stared hard, searching his eyes for a sliver of trust. There was none. See for yourself. He slid his phone across the desk. On the screen, an anonymous text showed my avatar transferring data files. Fury boiled over into a laugh. If you fall for such a cheap trick, then I misjudged you. Beauty truly destroys brains. Since Grace came back, Julian had turned into a blockhead. Liana, Julian's already spared you a public interrogation, so don't. Watching them echo each other made me sick. I yanked the office door open with a bang. Cameron, I don't need your so-called face-saving. Whether I did it, you may not know, but I do. I was placed on administrative leave, Julian's decision based on the evidence and company bylaws. Fair and unbiased, supposedly. Fine, Julian was accountable to everyone except me. Since graduation I'd slaved for him, I hadn't had a life of my own in ages. The suspension felt great, especially not having to watch their lovey-dovey routine. Only Molly wouldn't let my ears rest, delivering frontline gossip daily. Liana, you should have seen it, little Lotus has been playing Lady of the Manor, ordering us around, no to this, ban that. She might as well run the place herself. But today she did us one favor, she's giving a recital, so Cameron finally gave us the afternoon off. Idle time breeds memories. I remembered my birthday night, begging Julian to stay with me. He'd refused, claiming work. My phone vibrated, yanking me back. Emery, tonight is my recital. You probably don't want to come, but Julian's planning to propose on stage, and I still want to share our happiness with you. Malice dressed as courtesy. Go, I told myself, let the misguided fool in me wake up for good. Auntie Mama always said, admitting mistakes is the first step to fixing them. I'd been wrong, and I would correct it. I arrived on time. From a lonely corner I watched my first love end while Julian proposed. That night I replayed the failed romance and drew a conclusion. I'm fine, Julian isn't, let the two lunatics rot. Screw you, Emery. I'll never be an assistant again. Emery, Riley, no matter how deep the love, the butterflies always separate, life and death, a lousy omen. Besides, I'd never even tasted real love. Once I saw that, I felt light. While my head was clear and my emotions steady, I drafted my final masterpiece for the company, the resignation email. It started chatty, turned eloquent, then cursing, and finally I graciously wished Julian well, the company's success, and the happy couple 100 years of bliss. Next morning, everyone but me witnessed their joy. Julian escorted Grace from office to office handing out wedding favors. When they reached the assistant pen, Grace hugged his arm, all consideration. If only Emery were here, she'd arrange everything and spare you. Why not lift her suspension? Julian set the candy on my desk and patted her hand. Fine, as you wish. Let it go. I won't dig further into whether she did it. Molly, dying to speak, finally caught Julian's eye. She hemmed and hawed, then blurted, Sister Liana already resigned. Cameron, didn't you know? The office laughter dried up, the screech of leather on tile erupted. Liana's joking, right? Throwing a tantrum. If this gets out, she'll be blacklisted. Molly, ask her if she's really quitting. Finally Julian barked, whatever, and slammed the door. The junior assistants exchanged glances of gloom. If the easiest target could snap, who was safe? Once the enemy retreated beyond firing range, they whispered, Sister Liana's tragic, she treated Cameron so well and still got axed over nothing. Yeah, she drank till her stomach bled for that RFP, now she's branded a traitor, so unfair. Stomach bleed? Who, Liana? Julian had doubled back, catching every word. The girl jumped, yanked open my drawer and held up the pill bottles. Cameron, Emery. She's still on antacid tablets. He froze. He knew exactly how I'd earned that ulcer, every client dinner, every drink I'd downed for him. Once, when he asked if all that booze hurt, I'd handed him his bento and teased, thought you'd faint at the scent of flowers or wine. I can outdrink you, watch yourself. His face paled, he looked lost. Grace came hunting for him. In seconds he adjusted his expression back to the usual mask. See? Even knowing I'd worked myself to the bone, one call from Grace and he trotted off. Hard to say who was pitiful, maybe me, maybe Julian. How did I know all this? Not because I cared, but because Molly's need to share was impossible to stop. Several days had passed since I handed in my resignation, and Julian hadn't bothered to give me so much as a flicker of reaction. I no longer cared. Word was Grace still couldn't stand the slightest reminder of me. She had Molly strip my desk clean down to the screws. Word was Julian walked past that empty workstation every day and never slowed his stride. Until one afternoon he spotted the eyesore again, the little hand-thrown planter. Molly, ever the mind reader, said, Cameron, this is the pot Emery threw away. I thought it was cute, so I fished it out of the trash. It was the same dull gray thing, not adorable in the least. Its clay body already bore a hairline crack, courtesy of its owner's abandonment. Grace declared cracked pottery bad luck and reached to toss it, but Julian blocked her hand. Give it to me. Whether spurred by old habit of defending me or sheer guts, Molly didn't kowtow this time. Cameron, Liana made that herself. She's already quit. Let the pot go. The words struck like a mallet. Julian's face drained of color. Without a reply he snatched the planter and muttered, she made it. His fingers searched inside and out until, beneath the rim, he found what he was looking for, our initials, the secret mark only the two of us knew. What else did she leave? He asked, eyes bloodshot. Her sunflower Bible, every trick she learned, all in her own handwriting. Want to see? Julian took that notebook I had filled line by line and locked himself in his office. Page after page, what he liked, what he hated, how to sync his calendar, which proposal formats earned his signature. He discovered I understood him better than he understood himself. But I had already tossed all of that away. Molly didn't reach me again until 2 years later, by which time I had put down roots in beautiful spring. A city forever awash in blossoms and balmy air. It felt like the home I'd never had. I'd always felt guilty toward Molly. When I vanished I hadn't said goodbye to anyone, not even her. Yet I'd missed her. For years I'd drifted alone, and she had been the one friend who truly saw me. Recalling my sudden disappearance made us both sigh. She brought up a name I'd nearly forgotten, Julian. She said he almost lost his mind. He burned through every method, calling my dead number again and again, rushing to my sublet only to find it gutted, even tracking down my foster mother only to learn I'd cut her off too. At the end he hired a private investigator, filed a missing person report, whatever he could think of, but I never surfaced. That was the first time I saw Cameron so wrecked. He'd stare at your empty desk for ages, then bury himself in work so he could frantically keep searching. He wouldn't let Grace touch a single thing you'd touched. Liana, I think you actually won. Did I win? Hardly, because I'd surrendered my heart in the process. But none of that mattered anymore. I no longer loved him. Life in spring was pure ease. I opened a small and called Bloom. It had a courtyard garden so riotous with flowers that every guest posed in front of the living wall for photos. I also adored the city's nights, soft and mysterious as a healing lover, mending both my heart and my stomach. Within months the bartender at Hibiscus and I were buddies. Where there was a new cocktail, there I was. Mayuan, quick, look. Sonny waved his phone. I just saw a girl on Twitter who's your freaking doppelganger, also from Los Angeles. Spooky, huh? He pulled up the account he'd followed that morning. Sure enough, it was Grace. How quaint. Molly and I had just been talking about Julian, and here came Grace's feed. Her wedding prep diary is hilarious. Same face, yet she's about to marry Rich while you're playing house with succulents. Get a move on. So the wedding was finally happening. Good, that had always been the logical final scene. Looking alike doesn't mean living alike. I snapped back to tease him. Well, if you hadn't friend-zoned me, you'd have to take responsibility. Shoo, no crushed ice fantasies about me. We're sisters, period. Sonny hadn't finished when he slammed the bar, making heads turn. Holy, Mayuan, you're trending. That's the age of virality, you're suddenly the star of someone else's lens. My courtyard had blown up for the simplest reason, it was gorgeous. I'm not bragging, sheer prettiness was the only explanation. Alongside the hashtag dreamiest bloom, there was a half-profile shot of me, blurred yet atmospheric, courtesy of a famous travel photographer. Before I could bask, Molly rang. Liana, did you see? Most beautiful in. Julian's already on a plane. I can't save you, handle it yourself. Little rascal, what could I do? Let him come. This is my home, I'm not running. Back then I wasn't the one in the wrong, so why should I flee? Early next morning he arrived. I'd imagined our reunion 100 ways, yet reality was strikingly calm. No suitcase, just Julian at my gate, wind blown, Dylan unshaven, energy flat. Maybe this was the latest rugged Uncle Chic. His eyes were rimmed red, fixed on me. Long time, Liana. In the past he'd said my name coldly, tenderly, helplessly, angrily, every shade but this clenched teeth version. Why did you vanish without a word? Figuring he was still a guest in my territory, I answered, it's been a while, come in for tea. He stood stubbornly. Why didn't you contact me for 2 years? Who said you could leave? Oh, for crying out loud, 2 years and still he won't hear me. Suit yourself. Don't touch my plants, if you collapse halfway, I'm not playing nurse. I turned inside. You ask why I left? Stay and keep taking the fall for you people? Stay and stay blacklisted in the industry? You know I love plants, what did sacrificing that passion get me? Scorn, suspicion, shoulder shrugs. Did you ever care if I was happy? Never. I'd stopped being myself. If I hadn't gone, your world would have rubbed my love of life down to nothing. I had to leave. Julian reached out in panic, I sidestepped. I'm sorry, Liana. I know you were wronged. I didn't disbelieve you, I just hadn't found proof yet. I had to give the board an answer. I laughed coldly. So I was disposable? He had no answer, because there was none. After a long quiet, he pulled a small box from his bag and opened it. 2 identical clay pots. I recognized one instantly, my original cracked planter. Liana, I kept it all this time. We shaped it together, failing to recognize it was my fault. His voice dropped to a whisper. It broke, so I went back to the same kiln and made a twin. Will you take it again? Eyes flooded with regret, he waited for my answer. I took the small hand-thrown planter from his hand. Okay. Joy flashed across his face, he stepped forward and caught my wrist. Liana, come back with me, will you? I tugged my sleeve free of his tight grip and shook my head firmly. Julian, we're over. I'm keeping this planter only because it was mine to begin with, it did nothing wrong, and I can still use it. Julian spoke in a rush. No, Liana, we're not finished. I wronged you before, but I love you, and I know you love me, there's nothing to apologize for. Loving you was my choice, I don't regret it. But I've let go and started a new life, that's also my choice, and I don't regret that either. I cut him off. Go home. Grace is still waiting for you, she's waited for years. Don't let her down. It's not like that, Liana. After you left, I talked things through with Grace. We'd only confused our feelings, the one I've always loved is you, we won't marry. Right now it's just business ties between our families. Give me a chance. Now that I've found you, I'll settle everything quickly. I want a home, with you. I froze. 2 years ago, if Julian had shown even the faintest hint of a future that included me, our ending might have been different, but a missed chance is simply missed. I do long for family, for warmth, yet I won't chase warmth I can't hold. Julian, don't obsess. You just can't accept that I was the one who walked away. You simply refuse to believe I really love you. His eyes were steeped in pain. Blame me, I brought this on myself. A bitter laugh escaped him. You won't drive me off. Believe it or not, I'm going back to sort things out. I'll be here again on the weekend. Jordan, hold a room for me. I'll pay the rate. With that, Julian stalked out like a sulking kid. I didn't call him back. Julian's brief visit changed nothing in my life, and realizing that left me hugely relieved. It wasn't that I feared drama, my days were just too free, too comfortable, I had zero wish to stir things up. When Julian showed up again, Sunny happened to be in the courtyard, cradling his latest cocktail, Dead Drunk Dream, and singing its praises. Who's that? Julian's face darkened the instant he spotted Sunny. Oh ho, who are you, coming after my gorgeous Liana? Before I could speak, Sunny planted both hands on his hips and stepped between us. He spun around, slung an arm over my shoulder, leaned in, and whispered loud enough to raise the dead. Spill the tea, Liana, stat. Julian yanked Sunny aside. Send him away, I need to talk to you. Fine, fine, such a handsome guy blocking your view, I get it. I'm gone. Sunny winked at me as he sashayed off. I waved half-heartedly, the world finally quieted. Liana, I know you're still upset about what happened. I've investigated. It was Grace, wasn't it? Julian stared. You knew? I smiled faintly. Of course. The world isn't that coincidental. Julian, be honest with yourself, did you really not know? You just didn't want to admit it was her. Otherwise, why did it take you 2 years and countless chances to suddenly figure it out this time? He didn't argue, he launched into another frantic explanation. Liana, I've broken the engagement. From now on there'll be no one else between us, no more misunderstandings. I shook my head. Julian, don't guilt-trip me. You didn't end things with Grace because of me, you did it because she hurt your company and betrayed you, because she no longer deserves you, because the feelings are gone, not because I reappeared. Maybe my words were too blunt, his face cycled through livid shades. Liana, I won't deny I was wrong, but I'm willing to fix every flaw you point out. You say you won't leave here, then I'll come to you. I can open a branch in Spring Haven, shift operations here, if you'll just wait for me. He grabbed my hands, urgent. I won't, Julian. Can't you see? I'm done waiting. Following in your footsteps exhausted me, standing still waiting for you left me lonely, I want neither. I tilted my head, shielding my eyes from the sun, and squinted at him the way I used to as a teenager. Do you even know what my name means? Julian stayed silent. You don't, do you? Liana is just a tiny flower. I've never had grand ambitions, I only want to be a little blossom that faces the sun. I'm no towering tree, and I don't wish to cling to one either, so let's call it a day. As for opening a branch here, don't be naive. You know better than I do how unrealistic that is. Would you abandon your resources, your network, your company's very foundation? The more I talked, the gloomier he looked. He was nearly in tears. I can start over from zero, all I want is you. I still shook my head firmly. Sunrise brings hope, sunset brings memories, the heart has something to long for, and busy days don't feel lost. That's the life I want, and it's not one Julian can give. Truthfully, I no longer blamed him. Youthful love has no absolute right or wrong. Besides, I'd gained far more than romance. Julian left. This time I walked him to the gate. At the last moment I pressed a tiny succulent into his hands, tucked inside the little planter we'd once made together. The small bloom I couldn't give him when we first met had finally been delivered. One day I'll meet someone willing to cherish this little flower, only that someone won't be Julian. My first love. This time I really said goodbye. Sunny was waiting outside the courtyard. Julian brushed past him without slowing. Sunny barreled in, grabbing my arm. Hoo, old flame, I sighed. Yep, the ex-fiancé of that pretty influencer you stalk online. Sunny's jaw dropped, he shot me a thumbs up. Savage, sis. Substitute romance done right, silent but deadly. The guy's eyes were razor sharp. I saw him leave all droopy-headed, totally wrecked. Heartbreaker. Liana strikes again. I slapped his fluttering finger away. Oh, hush. That man has a 7-vent heart, bust 1 vent, 6 still left. Later, Julian never came looking again, but he texts me often. He says he's caring for the little succulent I gave him. He says he's running the company well. He says he visits Riverdale regularly to see the aunties and the kids. He says he'll wait forever. I never reply. Of course, I don't bother to exclude him from holiday blasts or Bloom promotions either. I figure when Liana finally meets her true match, I'll mail him an invitation. Alright, enough. Sunny's bugging me for gossip again. I've got stories. Got booze? Buy me around tonight. Thanks for listening. If you liked the tale, hit like and share with friends. We'd love to read your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more. See you next episode.